For today, and that threat for severe weather, which is going to be kind of maximized from the city on north this afternoon and this evening. But first and foremost, it's the heat that we will be suffering through during the course of the afternoon. We're going to have feels like temperatures, like you said, exceeding 100 degrees. Let's take a look at what we're starting out with right now. As far as the current temperature is concerned, we're looking at temps in the mid to upper 70s in some spots. 76 in Philadelphia right now. We're in the 70s north and west. It's been such a nice stretch of temperatures in the 60s in the mornings. Not today. Definitely feeling a bit more humid out there. We're at 73 degrees as we head up to the north, and Doylestown 76 in Surf City. But later on today, temperatures are going to head into the 90s, and take a look at our peak feels like temperatures later on today. Here is how hot it's going to feel. 107 in Philadelphia, 105 in Millville. Even along the coast, it's going to feel like near 100 degrees. Up in our north and west suburbs, feeling like 104, 105. That is dangerous heat, and for that reason, we do have a heat warning to tell you about, an extreme heat warning, which will be in effect from 10 a.m. through 9 o'clock tonight. The heat may hang on. Heat and humidity returning as we go through the weekend and into next week. So here's what you need to know. Today, the next weather alert for dangerous heat feels like temperatures 105, maybe higher than that, and the threat for a stray severe storm this afternoon. I don't think it's a widespread severe threat, but any storm that does develop could produce severe wind gusts. Over the weekend, it's still humid, but not as hot. Few thunderstorm chances, especially Sunday. Sunday looks like a pretty active day. Then early next week, we surge right back into the upper 90s. Yet another heat wave on the way. Timing out the thunderstorm threat, again, most of the day, it's just hot, it's sweltering, it's humid. And then later this afternoon, here come the storms starting to ramp up by 3:30 or 4 in the Poconos. But it's around 6 or 7 o'clock tonight that those storms rumble through the city. And more clouds tomorrow will keep things a little bit more settled. Coming up, we'll talk about more thunderstorm chances as we get into your Sunday. But for now, let's send it over to Kim Hudson. She's got to check on how different than that. It's maybe Christmas in July, but it feels like one of the worst days we've had, certainly in a few weeks at least, with the heat and humidity really ramping up today. And for that reason, we have a next weather alert to tell you about. Here are the details once again for this Friday. Very hot, very humid. You know the drill. We've been here before, but it definitely is going to feel a whole lot different than it has all week long. So if you've been out and about all week, if you've been out playing golf, playing tennis, taking walks, going for bike rides, today is probably not the day to do that. It's not going to be anything like even yesterday. We hit 90 yesterday, but it felt pretty nice with that breeze. Today, feeling like as hot as 105, maybe even 106 or 107 in spots. And then we have the threat for strong storms later on this evening. A heat warning, an extreme heat warning for the city and surrounding counties, 10 a.m. right through 9 p.m. And when the heat advisory gets extended to 9 p.m., you know it's going to be a rough one, because 9 o'clock at night, usually we start to cool off at least a little bit. Not tonight. It's going to be very hot, very humid right through late this evening. Camden waterfront brightening up this morning. At least we've got that kind of moment of zen. It looks pretty nice. Philadelphia right now, just a few patchy clouds, but it's really all about the heat and the dew points. Dew points have been earlier this week in the 50s, which is very, very comfortable. We were in the 60s yesterday, which is a little bit more humid, but today dew points are back in the 70s. Temperatures are in the 70s, so you are feeling that steam bath feel when you step out the door once again. Breeze from the south at 8 miles an hour, and that's just pumping in the heat and humidity. So all day it's just going to get worse. 96 degrees with a mix of clouds and sun for most of the day. And then later on this evening is when storms could come through. But here's the real takeaway. Mid-90s, feeling like more than 10 degrees hotter than that, because dew points may surge into the mid to upper 70s by midday. That's going to make it feel like 106, 107 in the city, and that is dangerous heat. And for that reason, basically right up I-95 on either side here, we have this extreme heat warning, an indication of heat index values as high as 105 degrees. The entire rest of the region kind of encased in this orange, that's a heat advisory. Lehigh Valley, Poconos, even the shore points for heat index values topping 100 degrees today. We will start to see some storms as this boundary moves a little bit closer to us later this afternoon and evening. Greatest risk for severe weather by late afternoon will be off to our north, and then the storms start to progress into our region later this afternoon. We have a level 2 slight risk from Philadelphia on north and a marginal risk further south. Here's what that looks like timing wise. You can see scattered storms firing up across the Poconos by about 3 or 4 o'clock. But it's not until 6 or 7 that we start to see these storms drop further south. Now, out ahead of the main line of strong storms, any one of these showers that pop up could have some damaging winds and also heavy rainfall. Here's right around LBI as we get toward 5 p.m. So it may be a slow go. If you're planning on driving down the shore today, I would get there as early as possible, get out on the roads and get to where you need to be, because driving through this is not going to be much fun. 7 o'clock, we've got storms moving through the city into the Wilmington area, parts of Camden and Gloucester counties, and then hitting the shore likely about 8:30, 9 o'clock tonight with heavy rain and the threat for gusty winds. Tomorrow's not that bad. We've got more clouds than sun. It's still humid, but it's not as hot, and I think storm chances are few and far between tomorrow. It's looking even less than it did yesterday. So a pop-up shower chance, sun through the clouds, not a bad day, but it is still going to be steamy. And then tomorrow night into Sunday, it starts to turn active again. We'll have one band of showers come through early Sunday morning. Then into Sunday afternoon, another round. The sun tries to come out. It's very steamy. And here are scattered storms once again firing up about 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon, continuing right through 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And then another heat wave is on the way. So not really a fun stretch of weather. I think probably the best day to get outside is tomorrow. It is humid, but 89 degrees and generally dry. Today is the next weather alert. Sunday is an active day as far as showers and storms. That'll keep temperatures limited to the 80s. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're back to the mid to upper 90s. Another heat wave to start next week. Kim, I'll send it over to you. Another next weather alert day, and we have had many days here in this summer with heat and humidity, but this is going to be one of the hottest, one of the most insufferable days as far as the heat index is concerned, just because we're heading into the low to mid triple digits. 107 is what it might feel like later on here in Philadelphia, and we're starting off very warm as well, at least compared with yesterday. Yesterday and really all week long, we've started off even in the 60s in the city. Not today, mid 70s in Philadelphia. We've got 70s north and west as well. So didn't really drop much overnight. It's not terrible out there right now, but it is a whole lot more humid than what it has been. And I just want to show you where your watches and warnings are. This is an extreme heat warning where you see the pink. So that's Newcastle County, Salem, Cumberland, Camden, Gloucester, Philadelphia, Delaware, Lower Bucks, Montgomery County, and portions of Burlington and up into Mercer counties. The rest of the region is under a heat advisory for later on today, thanks to those heat index values topping 100 degrees. And in the city, we'll likely see those heat index values up to 105 plus. Temperatures since this time yesterday have risen anywhere from 2 degrees in Allentown to 14 degrees. That's how much warmer it is right now than it was at this time yesterday. So the heat surge has begun. And take a look at these future feels like temperatures. This is why we have the alert for today. 105 is what it will feel like at the height of the afternoon. And your next weather alert is for the heat, the humidity, and the threat for an isolated severe storm, mainly late this afternoon into this evening. Wind damage, the biggest threat with any storm. Plus, monitor yourself for any heat-related illness if you have to be outside today. Coming up, I'll break down the weekend forecast. But for now, let's send it over to Kim for Check on Traffic. Good morning, Kim. The best vending machine snacks. Yeah, hydration. That's key today. Maybe go for the water instead of the caffeinated beverages today. There's an idea because it's going to be a hot one. Even something with electrolytes, possibly. If you're going to be outside sweating, if you have to work outside, today is dangerously hot and humid, and that's why we have a next weather alert. Also, we have the threat for severe weather. The threat kind of intensifying a little bit. We're now in a slight risk, which is a level 2 out of 5. Yesterday was kind of a level 1. So the threat for thunderstorms increasing this afternoon, and it's mainly because we have so much fuel for the storms. We have a front moving in, we've got all the heat, we've got all the humidity, and storms love to feed off of that. So excessive heat today feels like temperatures 105, even higher than that possibly. Storm chances will continue through the weekend. It's looking likely that we'll have one round this evening, another round on Sunday. I think tomorrow is probably dry for most of the day. It's going to be a little cloudier, but even though it's humid, tomorrow's probably your best chance to get outside because then another heat wave takes hold of the region next week. Let's take you down the shore right now. Not as pretty of a sunrise, at least not right now, as we've seen in Ocean City so far this week, but it is, we still have about 5 minutes or so. And once that sun comes up, I think it will look lovely. We've got the waves rolling in. This is the place to be. Right here, park your chair in that wet sand, put your feet in the water, and that's kind of the only place to stay cool. You even go up on the boardwalk today. It's going to feel pretty brutal, hot and steamy, and temperature-wise, we're way warmer than we were yesterday. If you remember these numbers yesterday, we had some 50s here. Millville was in the 50s, Toms River was in the 50s. Not today. Today, we're starting off in the 70s, and we're headed for 96 degrees today with those isolated storm chances late afternoon into the evening. Most of the day down the shore is sunny. Now, this is the forecast for Atlantic City, 91 degrees, maybe a degree or two cooler down across the Cape May County beaches, down in Wildwood, looking at 88 or 89. That's still hot for the shore. 94 in the Lehigh Valley, mostly sunny. The entire region, at least in a heat advisory. So where you see the orange, that's a heat advisory. That means heat index values 100 plus. That even includes the Poconos today and the shore communities. Where you see the pink up and down I-95 here, that's an extreme heat warning. Heat index values in those pink areas could reach 105. And in addition to the dangerous heat, here's a line of storms we'll be watching as we get into the afternoon. You can clearly see that boundary starting to push in, and we now have a slight risk, a level 2 out of 5 risk, where you see the yellow for severe storms. That basically includes the same spots that are in that extreme heat warning. So the city up toward Trenton, Wilmington, into South Jersey, and Bucks, Montgomery, Chester, and Delaware counties. Here's the timing on the thunderstorms. Most of the day is dry until about 3 or 4 o'clock when we start to see some pop-up storms. Now, these are likely not severe. Heavy downpours are possible, though, so if you're trying to drive to the shore here, if you're going from Philly, maybe to LBI, Brigantine, Atlantic City, that's where you could see some downpours early. 5:30, 6 o'clock, it gets a little more active, so it's going to be a slow commute in spots and a slow drive to the shore or to the Poconos. These storms may intensify right here. 7:30, it's still very hot, it's very humid, heavy downpours, and that will move down the shore as we get into tonight. Now, over the weekend, we don't have any more next weather alerts. 89 degrees tomorrow with more clouds. It's not quite as brutal. 85 Sunday, but Sunday's an active day with scattered showers and storms. And then look at this, 3 straight days in the mid to upper 90s to start next week as we head toward the end of July next week. Friday is August 1st, so hopefully we'll have some quieter weather then. Kim, I'll send it over to you.
Hopefully so. Thank you so much.